great variety of people are able to offer to foster for us, whether you be single or in a relationship or married, or whether you're actually in employment, not in employment, retired, or actually whether you're in a gay or lesbian relationship. So we encourage people from all walks of life to apply to us and to offer their homes to children and young people in need.
It was a long time ago when we decided to foster, but my wife and I were working with children in the charity sector and seeing a lot of children in various different clubs, and we just saw that some children needed a bit more help, and we thought perhaps we could do a little bit something to help.
You've been fostering now for 4.5 years? 4.5 years, must be. Started from inception, from doing all the training. The reason why we started fostering is because our children were all grown up. Moving on, we just sort of sat down one day and sort of said that, this is something that we like to do. I think we could have an impact on young people's lives.
My family's been fostering for about 11 years.
I like that my family foster because you get to meet new people and you can help other children out that aren't as advantaged as we are.
As we know, there's a shortage of foster carers in the ethnic community. So when we looked at that, me and the wife decided this was the time to help generally in all communities. That's one of the reasons why we decided,
We did after course for fostering, and then I had to go and have a leg amputated. We reapplied, finished off the course. We have now been fostering for 15 years. Well, it was 15 years February actually. So next February will be 16 years. It's a long time, love.
Yeah.
I never even really thought about fostering until I read an article in my local paper about fostering and the local authority wanting foster carers. And I thought I could do that because my son was just about to go off to university and I certainly had the time and I had the spare room. So, well, why not look into it? And that's exactly what I did.
The selection process is, as we all know, is quite a long, lengthy process, and it can be daunting, because you don't know whether you're going to be selected or not. You try and do your best at everything, even then, because at the end of the day, it's somebody else's child under your under your wing, you could say, so they have to be very particular. They have to look through every avenues, who you are, where you're from, who your parents are, They go through right the way through your school's days, It is a long process, but once it's done,
But that very process is very important.
Because
it not only gives those who wish to do fostering an insight into what is required, it also gets you to look at yourselves, and your family, and obviously, and it helps it helps you come to that decision. Is fostering right for you? Yeah. So it asks the question, and that's fine, and that's absolutely brilliant, because you certainly don't want to be put into a situation where you're probably in 1 or 2 months into fostering and then think to yourself, why am I doing this? But for people who really wish to make a big change in children's lives, don't be put off, but it certainly helps.
It was long. It kind of was a week long. No, I mean the whole process from start to get
it was
approved.
almost a year.
It was a long process, and at times it was slow and painful.
So not only do you need to have patience for the children, you need to be patient in getting through the process. But then if you're determined enough, you will stick it out. And I would recommend it, actually.
From the minute you start off, we would help you to make that choice, and from the minute you actually make an inquiry and attend an information evening, you are actually linked to one of my workers, so you can contact them at any time and find out more information or clarify issues that are concerning you. So there's somebody there guiding you through that process throughout the whole time.
Someone actually came to my house. Oh my goodness, she was here for hours and hours. We were chatting away, 20 to the dozen, about fostering. And I thought, yes, I think I would like to do fostering. support is superb. They're always there on the end of the phone, they're always there on the end of an email, always there on the end of a fax. But they're always there for you in person as well.
You get a lot of support from the social workers. You know, they're always there if you need them. You even get an out-of-hours team, so if you have any problems, you can ring that number and they will be there to support you.
I have a regular monthly meeting with my supported lodgings coordinator. She comes in and every month we go through what's happened in that period, any issues that have arisen and how we can handle different matters going forward.
The K4K group is a support group for children who parents foster, and they talk about problems that you have or how to deal with the children that are living with you. And you can talk to the other children that are in the same situation as you are.
And when it's Easter, we go down there and we do some arts and craft and go on an Easter egg hunt.
I do go, we go to a support group, and well, it is support, advice, chat, cup of tea, when you have a good time.
Another area of support is a male carers group, and that's partly because some of us carers, male carers, have felt a little bit marginalised by some of the child protection issues, and yet we feel that children and young people in foster care need good male role models, and that we do have something different to offer to women. So we get together to sort of talk about that and how we can still do that safely, and how we can have our sort of family safety policy and things like that, so it works in the best interest for the child but also allows us to have a full part to play as men.
Yeah, the support, there's a monthly support group meeting which I always attend, and I always think is a important part. Obviously there are some carers who don't think it's necessary, but I think it's very important to have that support where you can just go and sort of like, you know, discover actually you're just the same as everybody else. And you're doing this with the same problems, and you're doing the right thing. But yes, and also there's if you've got any difficulties, there's so many layers of different support that can be put in place that if it's needed.
There's a lot of support and help out there if you actually ask for it, and don't be afraid to ask for it. You're not admitting defeat if you sort of need a bit of help, because it can be a very challenging thing to be doing, so use what's there.
I think openness and honesty, because I think sometimes these children, they've been passed around a lot and they don't know what's going on, and people don't always tell them anything because they think it's for their own good. But in actual fact, if you tell them exactly the truth, then they can cope with it much better and not be blindsided by things.
Yeah, we do tell them, what we're doing, what we're planning on doing, what's happening with contact, if it changes, whatever, that kind of thing. If you think that there's going to be a problem, give them an alternative, that if this doesn't happen, this is going to, something else. This is plan A doesn't happen, plan B will work.
Well, I think a good foster parent carer has to be, obviously, they have to be good with kids. They have to be patient, because a lot of kids are difficult. But they should be fair, but also be strict at the same time. Don't let them get away with stuff they shouldn't. Pretty much what a normal parent should do, really. To make them feel at home. I make them feel like part of the family.
The skills you need to become a foster carer is to be very patient, understand the children, listen to them, but be prepared that when they do come in, they will kick out at you. They will test you to your limit, purely to see if you're going to stand by them. Once they realise you will stand by them, you'll have a totally different child there. And then, it's very important as well, praise when they're good, but tell them off if they're naughty. Don't be frightened to tell them off, because children like that. They like to feel like you would your own, and you would tell them off or you would praise them. But patience is a big thing with it as well.
I think you need to be a good foster carer, I think you need a certain understanding and interest in young people. But that can come from experience, from work, from training, from your own family, from an extended family. But to be honest, a lot of it, as far as I'm concerned, a lot of it is kind of like gut, an instinct or a gut feeling that, what you're doing is right or what you're doing is wrong, And I think if you're one of those people that people walk into a room and think, oh, well, they're nice, then that sort of warmth or welcome or whatever is what's gonna, is what the young person is initially going to encounter when they walk through your front door.
Because all it is about is loving, caring, seeing to their needs, what you would do with your own if they want to go swimming, give them activities to do. It's just being like, treating them like, you're their parent, even though I know you're not, but if they can get that feel that they might have missed out on.
You need to love people more than things, because I can't promise that all your things might not got a little bit spoilt or certainly mucked about with. Patience is a good one. A love for children would obviously be important. And I think a desire to make things better. That's really what we're trying to do, I think, is to just make something a little bit better for this child on this occasion and hopefully get their family through a bad patch.
I think they need to have a lot of love to give. The teenage, I was difficult, and I know I was. She did have to stay up for the first week, at least quite a few nights, just to sort of comfort me and listen to me, really. And she opened her heart to me, and I do feel like she's my mother now.
It's difficult to answer because sometimes what they actually gain or what they get from it you might not even be aware of, and it could be years down the line when they turn around and say, well, actually, it was not very nice at the time, but I benefited from it.
I think if they didn't get the help and everything they need, I think they would find it a lot more difficult. I think sport lodging is a great way of helping young people to get a kickstart and for their future and for their adulthood. I think it really helps a lot.
If you think initially that these children start with nothing, some of them have had very, very sad lives, so you're actually sort of putting something into place, some sort of structure that these children never have, and you can actually see them grow and mature, and that is a real.
I mean, it is a challenge.
It is a challenge,
but
yeah.
It's a challenge worth taking.
Yeah.
I think when they first come in, a lot of them are lacking in confidence. And so the time they're with me, it's about building up their confidence, making sure that they're confident in what they are doing. Some of them, when they first come, they don't even... To make a telephone call is difficult for them, and to make a query or anything like that on the telephone. And I remember one girl, when she made a telephone call, she was so impressed with herself that she was able to find out something by telephone that she'd never done before. I think as well it's about the skills they've learnt when they leave here, that they can cook a dinner, they can fill a form out, things that they couldn't necessarily have done when they moved in. It's all about giving them confidence that they can achieve something and move on positively.
I've got one friend who is thinking about going to sport lodging, and I've said, go for it. It would help you a lot. And I'm hoping that they do that, because it really does help.
She used to be a chef, so she taught us all how to cook. Really, I didn't have a clue before that. She taught us basics of cooking and just the basics of life skills, really. Like in the large family, sort of conversational skills. That's how I learnt to interact with other people, really, because I didn't know that before.
I think if they can when they move on from you, if they leave you with sort of having been in the system as being as positive experience as possible, with all the sort of emotional baggage and life experience that they've got, and if you can sort of put right some of the things that have gone wrong, and if you can put them on a path that maybe will give them some of the tools to deal with their life in the future, then that's all you can hope for, really. That's all you can hope for your own kids, and it shouldn't be any different from what you hope for your looked after young people, really.
for us, it's been very much a family thing, and our boys have been fully involved, and in fact, it would have been much harder. In fact, now they're not at home, sometimes it is much harder, because they've shared in that, and as they grew older, obviously they could take a greater responsibility for the children and playing with them and helping to care for them. But you know, no, it's been fine. It's been a good experience, I think, for them, and probably what they are now as young men is partly due to the fact that they've had children come in with all sorts of difficulties and different backgrounds. It's made them have perhaps be more rounded, give them a better idea of the breadth of life and how things can go wrong or not for people.
When we first started, my mum and dad sat me down and told me about what was going to happen, and they brought me a set of books. It was like storybooks, and they were about another family that had started fostering, so I kind of understood what was going to happen. And the first child that came, I was quite excited because it was like a new experience, and it was a baby, so I was quite excited about them coming to stay. Even though there'll be more work, like having to look after more children, at the end of it, you get a lot out of it, and it makes you feel good that you can help other people and give them support.
There's no impact on my family, you know, it's just normal way of life, you know. I mean, people do say, who's this child, you know, because every few weeks, you know, I'm walking down with another child and they say, who is this? We just say we're just looking after them, you know, until then they sort themselves out, you know.
Yeah, I mean, my family, the boys are part of the family. They get sent presents at birthday and Christmas. They get included in all the family events. They're definitely part of the family, and they're treated as such by every member of our family and by our friends.
Sometimes we have at least some Sundays about 11 to 12 people around my dinner table.
I actually like cooking for a load of people. I do not like cooking for 2 or 3.
And our mum comes usually on a Sunday because I go round and I have to wash and dress her, and I bring her round here. So she's joined in as well. She knows the foster children as well, so it's just like a big family.
They actually get on really well, the kids in my house. If they didn't get on, it wouldn't work. So, you know, the fact that they get on with each other is what makes it work, really. And she's been around for, you know, so long now. She's part of the family, really. Can't imagine what it would be like without her. So they actually get on like normal brother and sister would, you know. Sometimes they love each other and sometimes they hate each other, but they can't really imagine what it would be like for them not to be there, so...
Yes, so I see them regularly, spend Christmas together. She's just like my mum and my dad.
I think when that our family gets like closer together, and because we help out with all the fostering people, and we can get close together, and do more, less things, but more things, but less. If you see what I mean.
My children have benefited greatly from it because they see how lucky they have been, and quite often they will talk about that, you know, how they were lucky that they've had a stable life, and it gives them more empathy as well on the other children because they understand, you know, what these children have been through, so they can understand more when they have a tantrum or when they're playing up, or, you know, it's made them a lot more understanding and kinder, to be truthful, because they have to share with everybody, you know, and so it's given them a real insight into what life can be like out there.
It's a wonderful feeling when you see these young people happy. Absolutely brings a glow, it does to you, sir. As long as I've got the energy to do it, I really want to keep on with it because these young people do need our help, and they are our future. They are our future.
When I went into care, I was sort of, if I hadn't had her, if I had gone into sort of a place where I hadn't had that support, I probably would have looked elsewhere for the love and care that she gave me. So I would definitely not be where I am today.
The best thing about being a foster carer is seeing the turnaround in the children. The one that has come in saying, I'm just going to go on the dole when I leave school, that now becomes a painter and decorator with his own business. You know, when they get aims and goals in their life rather than feeling like they can't do anything. That's what makes it, for me, the challenge is you've achieved it. And
we went to Alton Towers once, didn't we? And it was Alton Towers, wasn't it, when there were 6 of us?
Yeah.
And this old lady said, she said, you need a medal as big as a frying pan. And that really did tickle me.
Yeah. Well, they had fun.
I mean, I think potentially anybody can become a foster carer, but it's going to be a challenge, and it's something that you need to think long and hard about doing. But don't let that put you off it, really, because you know you provide some fantastic care and love, and very, you know, which is really needed.
I feel that I'm giving something back. I had, I think, a rough childhood. I think it's nice to be able to think that you can improve another person's childhood. For me, a major moment earlier this year was when I gave away the bride, my first foster girl that left, as I said earlier, and she got married a few weeks ago, and it was really nice for her to ask me to give her away.
Fostering is a challenge worth doing, which has a lot of satisfaction and makes me very happy.
Ditto.
Life's never boring.
Certainly isn't. There's never a dull moment, apart from when they're asleep.
That's not dull. That's just peaceful.
Well, that's true. Yes, and it's quiet.
That's it. It's a challenge, which is good. It keeps you on your laurels. You know, you never know what's going to happen from one day to the next, and it's just you get a sense of satisfaction when you hear things like the child's going on to 6th form and things like that. You know you've achieved something and provided a positive influence.
The final message, as we know, we see in the news what happens to the kids up and down the country. My message is, if you're going to do something, don't wait. Just pick the phone up, and it will be the best thing you'll ever do.
I think sometimes fostering can cause arguments because there's depending on the child, there's a lot of stress, but it can also bring them closer together because you feel privileged about what you've got, and you understand that not everyone's the same as you are.
When I first came out, everyone was welcoming me. You know, we sort of treated me really nice. I had a good time. Everyone we were like a family, so that's what families do. Families share. If you needed anything, you know, they would help you out, sort of thing.
If you want to think about whether you should foster or not, then you need to think about what time you've got to give, because it takes some time, what love you've got to give, you need a little bit of space in your house at least, and you really need to want to make something a bit better for some children or young people. You want to make a difference for them and for their families. And if that's you, I would say, go for it. Give it a go.